just before we start the show, I want to take an opportunity to invite you to join me for the Podfluence Weekly newsletter, which is available both on LinkedIn and through the official newsletter channel. Now, if you are on LinkedIn and it's easier for you to follow there, then please just click on the link in the show notes, which will take you straight to Podfluence on LinkedIn, where you can subscribe for free and get weekly updates on Podfluence articles as well as episodes. If you would like to subscribe to the full newsletter where you'll get additional materials and, as my little incentive to you, my pre-podcast guest checklist for you to use when you're appearing on podcast shows so that you can be fully prepared every single time, then please click the link to the official newsletter in the show notes. Hope to see you there. Let's get on with the show.
Sometimes in life, you just have to ask the question. And this episode of the Loki podcast would never have happened had I not done that. I found a product, this tool for speakers online that I really liked the look of. When I took a bit of a deeper look into it, there were some additional products that also seemed interesting. So I bought the whole set. And then a while later, having signed up to a newsletter from the creators, they invited people to join them on a webinar, on a series of webinars explaining how to use these tools. I attended those webinars and afterwards contacted them to tell them how interesting it was, how much I liked the products, and to ask them if they might be interested in being guests on my podcast. To my surprise, they said yes. So the following conversation is my chat with the publishers, Cicero, and two amazing guys called Matteo and Andrea, and I hope you enjoy it. Welcome to the Loki Podcast with John Ball from Present Influence. We use Buzzsprout to upload and distribute the Loki Podcast to all major podcasting networks. If you're thinking of starting your own podcast, check out the link to Buzzsprout in the show notes. You could start your podcast today. Welcome back, and this week we have some special guests who I invited and was very surprised when they said yes that they were going to come and be on the show. Please welcome to the podcast, I'm going to say this correctly, hopefully, Andrea Binasco and Matteo di Pascale. Is that
perfect?
Correct?
That's perfect.
Hey, wonderful. One of the reasons why I was so excited to speak to you guys, I'm really pleased that you said yes, is because you have these amazing cards, sets of cards, that I just happened to see an ad online and buy them, and really I bought them for the public speaking cards that you've got, and we'll explain a bit more about that as we get further in. But then the whole pack is actually really fascinating, and you did some webinars recently where we got to come and learn a bit more about how to use them and why you did all this. Want to find out from you, first of all, tell us a bit more about what it is you're actually doing, who you are, and what you've created and why. Big questions.
Yeah, very big question. I think Matteo can start.
Thank you. Hello, and thank you for having us. So basically, we are Cicero. We're an independent publisher that is focused on creative tools. And we started because we had some tools with some products for creativity, and we couldn't find the right publisher for us. And so at some point, a couple of years ago, we invented one. And I think that it's right to say I started with cards because in 2012, I created these cards that are called Intuiti, and they are for creativity. Then, together with Andrea, we created the Fabula, that is another tool for storytelling. And then at some point, we also made Cicero, that is the tool for public speaking that we're going to talk about today. And we come from different backgrounds. I am a designer and a writer. I worked as an art director and a UX designer for companies in Milan, China, in Amsterdam. And Andrea?
Yeah, I'm a teacher, and I'm very passionate in literature. And that's why we came together. Basically, actually, we are friends since a long time, but we start working together on Fabula that is the one that you see behind Matteo, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's that is basically a tool for storytelling. So what we did is to work together to produce design that deck. And as Matteo was saying, he was already into the card business, let's say like that. And so he had some expertise about that. We produced that. We did a Kickstarter, as he did with Intuiti. It went well. Then we got contact with a public speaking expert from Italy. We are based in Italy. A public speaking expert from Rome actually contacted us saying, I've seen Fabula. It's wonderful. Why don't we do something for public speaking specifically?
Right.
And that's why we created then Cicero, that is basically a canvas made of cards for public speaking.
They're fantastic. I really love the cards, and I'm gonna go right back to the very beginning. Then, what was and this is really, I guess, for Matteo with the Intuiti pack. What was the inspiration that made you think, yeah, let's have some cards that are going to help people get into their creativity?
Yeah, I was young and exhausted already with creativity because I was studying at the Polytechnic University of Milan, and they all talked about creativity, and I thought that wasn't creativity at all. And so I wanted something that was not an equation. I wanted something more intuitive. Okay. And so I came out with the idea of sort of a game to help people find something, in some way more creative. I mean, more that could help them more to express themselves in a better way.
Right. I really like it, but the cards are very unusual, and the artwork is really quite beautiful as well. I mean, you can see a lot of development and care went into creating them. What sort of ideas or history or thoughts did you pull together in order to create that pack?
Okay, what I did, I basically studied all the main tarot's authors, so all the main people that studied the tarot cards in history, and I tried to find because of all the archetypes behind the cards, they come from tarot cards. I tried to find the essence, so the main archetype behind, and then I found a way to communicate it visually, so you can actually feel a little bit of the meaning of the card, and then you can have a powerful incentive.
Great. You have on one of your websites, you have a link to a site where you can sort of play with the cards yourself and see at least the principal cards, right? And
it's an online experience.
It's really cool. I had a play that I didn't even realize it was there until I came on the webinar with you, but it's actually very nice. And so you can use it in the same way that some people might actually use a tarot reading to think about where you've been, where you are right now, and where you want to go, and just use the images to get creative about what it means to you and how you feel about that, as well as having some guidance from the images that you select as well. That was really interesting idea and very cool. What other sort of uses have you discovered with these cards, or would you encourage people to be using it for?
They are born for personal use, for sure. So it's truly important that people can have a creative growth. Then we tried in companies, so for facilitating workshops, for internal conflicts inside the teams. So that's another way to maximize the power of a meeting, for instance, or for assessment for HR. And then I know about a lot of psychologists that are using them to break the ice with their clients. And so the uses are very. I think they're not very limited. I mean, a lot of people are using them in a lot of different ways. Some of those ways we don't even know about them.
Quite possibly. I mean, I work in the coaching industry as well, and I've been coaching people in different life areas for many years, and I could see applications in coaching for that as well. And I'm sure other people in work in other areas can see applications, or even just personal with different interests can have a think about that. So I actively recommend people go and have a play with your online resource and get a taste of the cards, but obviously get your own pack as well, because I think it's a really nice tool. When you two came together, then you had an idea for doing something more about storytelling, or is that? I mean, have you been writing books yourselves, or was it something that you particularly cared about?
We both had the passion for literature. Matteo for writing. Also for me, writing is a very beautiful hobby. But Matteo is even more into writing than me. But we share this passion of studying stories, and we wanted basically to create at the beginning something that we might have used. So we wanted to create a tool that could have been effective to help writers, and why not also teach us to analyze stories and to build up stories.
Great.
So we looked a little bit into the patterns of the stories, of the recurring patterns of every story. And we studied a little bit of that, obviously. And we came out with Fabula, that is based on basically some of the most common and well-established narrative structures, like the hero journey and the three-act structure. And we wanted to create a tool, basically. And that's why we used card as well, because they help you visualize the whole story, have a look at that, and those are designed according to design thinking principle.
They're quite different to the Intuity cards, in that they're more written, a bit less visual, but they're designed to have a bit of a different structure. And I do personally think the world needs more stories. We run on stories, and there's always stories going on. And I do think one of the things that hopefully makes us more interesting as people is when we have good stories to tell. So I think this is whether you're writing a book or not, is probably a good tool to work with. Is it specifically then in your head for when you created it for people who were writing books, or really did you already have the thing of, well, anyone who wants to pull stories together can help structure it a bit better with these kinds of tools?
I think that everybody can have some can have some fun, and can find it useful to also to analyze stories, or to build any kind of story. So we also made some workshops trying to use the same structure to make like brand stories, or any other kind of storytelling, also for filmmakers, for making a commercial. It's basically almost all the same. Of course, Fabula is much more for writers and screenwriters, and that's for sure, and also for editors in publishing houses, because they can really have the whole picture of a story. And I think that what we did with Fabula and Cicero, it's like we took a lot of theory. Really a lot, probably like the theory that you can find in 4 or 5 books, and then we created a structure based on all that theory. So when you get Fabula, when you get Cicero, you get a super easy access to a lot of knowledge that is synthesized.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I love reading books about storytelling, and just recently I just finished reading an amazing book by a storyteller called Matthew Dix, and it's if you haven't seen his book, it's really cool. It's called Storyworthy, and he just gives away some really great secrets in doing that. And there's there's a lot of really good stuff out there as well. But when it actually comes to putting your own ideas down and constructing a story, the structure of it is really important. And what I like about the way you design these cards is that you can actually lay it out. For people who are seeing the video of this, you can see behind Matteo, you've got cards stuck to your wall there as like laying out a story. Is that just an example of how to use them, or are you actually creating a story there?
No, I have them because I always write. So we actually we use our tools.
Yeah.
I think
Intuitive as well.
Well, that's great. You should. Yeah, fantastic. And what kind of writing do you do for yourself?
I write fiction. So it's like in this right moment, I'm writing a book about magical stories in Turin, that is the city where I live in.
Sounds good. Have you had feedback from people who are writers or getting into writing about using your cards to help them?
Yeah. We constantly have feedbacks from. We have to say that our customers love us, so lots of time we receive a lot of love from them, and also with good feedbacks.
Yeah, rightly so. I fell in love with the cards myself when I started using them. As soon as I started putting the Cicero pack together to put some presentations down, it's just having that sort of visual sense of where the presentation is going and be able to sort of see it laid out in front of you, like it is almost like a form of mind mapping, really, but a nice visual representation of that. And so when you started putting the Cicero pack together, you worked with a professional public speaker to do that. What sort of input or ideas was he putting in to form that deck?
Well, he's a teacher of public speaking, and he's a public speaking writer. I don't know how to say, he's a person that writes speeches for politics and people like that.
Writer.
It's like a ghostwriter, yeah, exactly, for public speaking. Speechwriter, yeah. And basically what we did was to collect his material and his references as well. I mean, the books on which he studied, and to try, just like Matteo was saying with Fabula, try to simplify them and give access to a complex structure in an easy tool. And we came up with this structure that helps both mind mapping the things that you have to say and also remembering them, because that's also the important thing. I mean, we try to bring to the real world the thoughts that you have while writing a speech, for instance. So just like getting them more physical so you can handle them with more ease. And that's basically what we did. So it was organization of the work, of the content.
Yeah. Can you explain a bit more about the packs and how to use them because I know when I first got mine, it's like the instruction book is great, but it's really tiny, and I ended up going to your site and checking some more stuff out, and of course your webinars were very helpful, and I guess you probably got them posted up for people to watch replays as well. So it's good to learn how to use them. Can you maybe starting with the Cicero pack, explain how to actually use the pack?
Yeah, sure. It's made of 26 cards, basically, and a booklet that is quite thin, you're right, and dense as well. And basically the idea is that there are steps in writing a speech. So there are different cards color, and each color represents a step that you have to take while writing a speech. The very first thing that you have to do, and there are white cards that helps you doing that, is to study the context and the situation of the speech and the thing, and all the different things that you have to consider before writing a speech or before preparing it. So basically, it's a suggestion out to check, to know who's going to be your public, who's going to listen to you, which language will you be using, and which language would be the most effective one, and the best, and also how long will the speech last, and of course, so you don't get short, and all those factors that are just like external factors that you have to take into consideration before the speech. And then there are the red cards.
What is your goal?
Yeah,
it's like most of the time we also what we try to do is to take all the knowledge from these public speaking experts and trying to understand also the main errors, the main mistake that people make. So usually most of the time they don't have a clear goal, so they don't really know what they are gonna say. And the second error that they make most is to start writing the speech thinking about the first word they have to say. And so the second phase in Cicero are the main points. So first of all, you make brainstorming with everything that you want to say, and then you try to organize the information in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 main points according to the length of the speech. And each main point is made of a key sentence, so it's like a title. So you're gonna say that the groom is very loyal. Okay, that's a title. And then you have the facts, because you need to justify, okay, why you said that key phrase. Then you have transitions to move from one main point to another, and you have to consider a pattern. So how to present these main points. It's the moment when you can get creative, because you, according on how you structure your main points, you can have different kind of results on your audience. And then it's like after you do that, you have the core of your speech. So you know that the most important things that you have to say, at least you have them, now you have the content. Then we move to the last part, when you really create a canvas and you work on what's before and after. And so it's you work with tricks, way of convincing people. You try to think about the engagement, so also the physical engagement, the figure of speeches that Andrea loves so much.
Right. Yeah, all those things that help clarifying what you're saying, but also engaging the people. So all the use of the language, as Matteo was saying, but also the use of supports like slides or handouts and things like that. So you get the canvas on which you have the draft of the speech from A to Z, and different levels of, let's say, of finishing and more detailed aspects, like voices as well. We also made up we are not voice experts at all. We use the material of our expert, but we also spoke about a little bit about the voices that you use in the speech and the importance of changing them, and also the gestures that you do, and all those things.
Yeah, so it's all relevant stuff. I was just wondering, I mean, could you combine using the Cicero and Fabula together if you were writing a non-fiction book, or do you think that could work?
Actually, we are designing a deck for non-fiction.
Oh, great.
So it's going to be it's going to be on the line. But yeah, basically, Cicero is just like a non-fiction fabula, a little bit. Just a little bit shorter, because usually it's kind of difficult to have most likely you're not going to have an academic speech in which you're going to speak for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And that's the case of an essay, for instance. There's much more information. So that's why we are thinking about a non-fiction fabula.
Sooner the better. I'm working on a non-fiction book. I could do with a bit of a guidance structure like that. That would be good. Yeah, great. I was sort of thinking one of the things that I particularly like in terms of the cards and maybe working with them and mix them, using them together in some ways, was that I think the archetype structures are very useful for, and Intuiti uses some of that sort of looking at when to do sort of game design for workshops or for example, just thinking about different personas and characters to work with, or even sometimes designing interventions or transformation stuff, to think about the particular personality archetypes more in a sort of Jungian archetype kind of way. Does that make sense? But I don't know if that would be a good basis for a set of cards or not, but it's certainly an interesting idea. I was thinking, I wish you guys had cards for that the other day when I was doing some work in that area. But it's pretty cool, and I really like working with them. And one thing is that one of the things I do in some of my work with clients is helping them design their own talks, their own presentations. So being able to give them a tool like the Cicero cards, I've got my pack here, being able to give them a tool like that and have that lay it out in front of them and have a bit of clarity in what to add in and what to take out is really, really useful. I think it's very helpful, and these are great things. What in terms of sales, where I know you have the cards available in English and in Italian. What are your plans for growth and scaling there?
That's a really good question. We're finding a really good answer. No, I'm joking.
I think you're still working on.
No, actually, we are planning on growing horizontally, translating the products. So right now we have the products in Italian and English, and of course we also sell English products in Germany, the Netherlands, France, but to have the products in Spanish and French and German, it's gonna of course be completely different. And we are planning new products. So as Andrea was telling, we're going to have a fabula for nonfiction, and we're going to have a fabula for kids going out soon.
Great.
And that one is going to be
amazing.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
I'm going to make a kid just for using that.
Well, that sounds fantastic, and anything that's encouraging creativity and writing in kids is particularly good as well. And it's something that in the public speaking arena we're working to try and get kids starting these kinds of things sooner as well, because these are the sooner you start developing those sorts of skills, the more talent and that we'll have swimming around us, the more creativity as well, and we need a lot more of it. I guess right now in times of lockdown, people may be using these resources even more, and maybe some people are finally getting around to writing that book or creating that speech that they've been wanting to do, right? But I think that's particularly good. What have you guys been doing to entertain yourself during your lockdown period?
Work.
It's much like me. But you're keeping things going. Looking forward to being able to get outside again, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, let's say that for our company, it's completely online. It didn't change so much for us. I mean, apart the fact that I'm like I will kill for a run, because here in Italy they also we're not allowed to go out for running. So it's like super crazy, and yeah.
So we are working more than before, because we are always on the computer, and I'm reading a lot. That's good. but and cooking. Basically, what everyone is doing now.
Yeah,
it's very Italian.
Very Italian. The sooner life starts returning back to some sort of normality, the better, right? And being able to get outside. So I look forward to that along with you. And I'm sure I want to respect your time, of course. I want to start wrapping things up a bit, but just to get people are going to want to hopefully come and find out more about you and your cards. What's going to be the best way for them to do that? Okay,
Cephirot.it. That's for sure. That's our main website. And then if they just want to know more about the Cicero deck, that's probably the case. Then cicerodeck.com.
Yeah, fantastic.
If you go to our website, that is Cephirot, as you were saying, we have a creative bulletin in which we tell people what we are doing and why we're doing that, and that's quite interesting. So maybe
I'm signed up for that myself. It's definitely worth signing up for.
And
what was the name of the site for them to go and have a play with the Intuity deck if they want to do that?
It's intuity.it.
Intuity.it. I do recommend it. The images on the cards are absolutely beautiful, and I love the whole pack. So thank you to both of you for coming and being on the show. And of course, we want people to go and check out the cards and use them, and give you their feedback, and come and give you some recommendations and recommend them to your friends and use them with your clients. All of those things. Is there any message or final thoughts that you would like to leave everyone with today?
That's difficult.
Matteo is the wise one.
I come to you for a pearl of wisdom, Matteo.
Oh my God. Okay. Yes, something. If I suppose the audience you told us it's for people that are into public speaking, right?
Certainly a large part, but maybe others as well.
Okay, I would like to say, it's something about Cicero that I think it's important. Since we made the Cicero, I have to say that our public speaking skills really improved, and not just for speaking in public, but also for communicating. So for writing the script, for a video, for writing the text of a landing page, also for presenting a product. I mean, we always use that same structure, and it's helping a lot. So even if you don't want to speak in public, I really think that at least to me it was super useful. So
any kind of content creation, I could see it could be useful. Yeah, fantastic. I think that's a great idea. I love the cards. I fell in love with them right away. I loved the idea as soon as I saw your ad on Facebook for them, and when they arrived, just fallen even more in love with them as I keep working with them. So, and your webinars, I do think people, if your webinars are available on your website, people should definitely go and watch them, because they just gave so much more insight into how to use them and make the most of these packs as well. So even without that, I think you're going to get a lot of value, but there's more value to be had. And so get the max. Thank you both for your time today. It's been a real pleasure to have you on my podcast. And so thank you to agreeing to that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I hope we'll get the chance to connect again in the future.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Excellent.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please make sure you like and subscribe. There are some great episodes coming up with some amazing guests, and I wouldn't want you to miss a single one. If you think you'd be a great guest on the podcast, or you know someone who would, I'd love to hear from you. And always, I'm happy to get any feedback that might help to improve the show. As a coach and trainer, I work with service business owners, coaches, trainers, speakers, authors in presentation skills, both online and in person. I help people to create and deliver additional products and services, including webinars that make sales, and to add residual income to your business. I teach and train the tools of ethical influence and persuasion that can help you to stand out in the marketplace, to step up as a leader, and to communicate more effectively with clients, customers, and colleagues. If you would like to book in a free 20-minute no obligation discovery call with me to find out if working with Present Influence is right for you, click the link in the show notes. Alternatively, visit presentinfluence.com, click on the contact page, and you will find the link to book in there. I look forward to connecting with you, and I look forward to you joining me again on the next episode of the Loki Podcast.